Let me just set this up in 1 second. Hello. Thank you very much for having me today. I'm honored to be speaking at the GeCCo competition. It's really an honor. So the title of my presentation today is Quo Vadis Project Management. And before I get to my presentation and the bulk of it, I would like to, in fact, first pose a question to you. So what does volunteer work, project management, and virtual collaboration have in common? And we'll try to get to some answers and some personal reflections of mine on this question throughout the presentation. And before we get to that, I would like to first of all introduce myself. So who am I? For those who already read about me on the Facebook page, my bio was up there. I'm quite an international globetrotter. I was born in Poland. I grew up in Canada. I'm now married to a Spanish, beautiful, lovely wife. I've lived in South America. I've studied in Brussels, and now I'm currently working for NNE Pharmaplan in Belgium. And I'm an engineer and pursuing my path towards project management. That's how I look like at work, if you guys can believe it or not. Quite comical, eh? You guys might have also read that last year in 2013, I received an award from the IPMA, which is the Young Project Manager of the Year award. And you guys may be thinking, who is this guy? What has he done? And what is his project? What is this award-winning project? Well, in fact, from what I just told you before about my professional career as an engineer, perhaps you may be thinking that this project has something to do with that. Perhaps it's a heat exchanger, optimizing the heat transfer between a shell and tube heat exchanger. If you guys guessed that, maybe that could be my project. Or maybe because I'm working for a biotech pharmaceutical consulting company, I developed as my project a new state-of-the-art bioreactor for harvesting the maximum amount of cells possible from a biotech process. Maybe. Or because of also my biochemistry background, perhaps it could be a project trying to sequence a genome to be able to cure some type of rare disease. Well, in fact, if you guessed any of those, you're wrong. My project, in fact, combines two things that I'm very passionate about. The first of those being volunteer work. For about 8 years now, I've been volunteering in all sorts of student organizations, community clubs, and non-for-profits because I believe deeply in that we have a responsibility to shape the community in which we live in a positive direction. And the second thing that my project combines is project management, this new career path that I've taken on and I feel very proudly about. So what is my project? Well, the project that I brought forward for this competition has to do with the current situation for young unemployed people across Europe. For those who don't know, there's about 5.7 million young people living in Europe that don't have a job. Unemployed young guys that are angry and are afraid. And like I told you before, I'm a very active volunteer and community organizer. And so when my organization, GeCCo, saw and understood this statistic, this situation that young people find themselves, we couldn't stand around and do nothing about it. In fact, we had to act. And so we decided to do a project. At that point, it was just an idea. We didn't have much funding, but we couldn't do nothing about it. The challenge was huge. 5.7 million young people living in unemployment across Europe. When you see that statistic, it seems like an unsurmountable challenge. And think of those young people currently in that situation who are really going through a hard time and even sometimes doubting their own strength doubting their own education that they just completed, and feeling that the whole world is on their shoulders, like this guy pushing the boulder uphill. So the project started in 2012 with really a simple idea: help these young people in the difficult times that they are facing. And this slide represents really what our project stood for and still stands for today. You have two hands, one to help yourself and the second to help others. That's exactly what we believe in. Helping the young people, looking in the rearview mirror to be able to see those young guys currently in a difficult situation and reach back to pull them forward. That was the whole goal and the motivation for this project. And how do we do it then? What were the keys to the project? Well, it was a project combining inspiration, so inspiring these young guys in difficult times, sharing with them practical advice and giving them real practical concrete feedback that they could use on their CVs, and also giving them coaching, mentorship, and feedback. So inspiration, practical advice, and mentorship. We created this platform, this project, where we had always to start off with an inspirational panel from senior leaders that we invited that have reached the pinnacle of success, senior level executives, ambassadors of countries, vice presidents in multinational corporations, to share with the young unemployed youth in the crowd their experiences, relate to them in the fact that although these young guys are going through very difficult times, we as senior leaders have also encountered obstacles on the road, and we have been able to overcome them and share the best practices with the young unemployed youth, so that they can understand that struggle and this challenge is just something, it's not something that will be there forever, but it can be overcome, and these young guys can reach the level and the success that the panelists have been able to achieve. So inspiring young people in these difficult times. The second element of the project was CV assessments. So in fact, this is quite a unique portion of the project, whereby we invited HR directors, hiring managers, senior level human resource specialists to come in as volunteers on a Saturday morning or during the evening on their free time, sit down with the unemployed youth participants and give them real concrete practical advice on their CV. This was very special because for any young person currently looking for a job, they're encountering one very strong difficulty. That is that they do not get the feedback that they need to be able to break this perpetual cycle of applying for a job and never getting any feedback, because the HR professional is usually interested in hiring talent. So those unfortunate applicants who aren't selected or shortlisted for the position usually get that default letter saying, "Thank you very much for applying, better luck next time," or "Unfortunately, you haven't made the shortlist. Thank you very much. We wish you the best in your career." But they never get a feedback on how they can improve, how they can get better in order to finally get that job. And they find themselves in this cycle, in this very nasty cycle. And so we invited those HR professionals to actually sit down with the participants and give them the feedback that they normally don't get. And understanding that there's no actual job on the line, it was just purely a one-to-one feedback session, the HR professionals could be frank, could be honest, and could really give the young people open feedback that they need so that they can go home, improve their CV, and actually stand a better chance for getting hired. Here you have a NATO senior level executive coming in on an evening to give free feedback to this young person. It's really something special when you see all of these volunteers, high level professionals coming in to dedicate their time to these young participants. It's really special. It makes us very emotional to understand and to see all of these guys really believing in this cause and supporting us all the way. At one point, for the third and the fourth edition of the project. In fact, we had 50 senior level HR participants giving feedback to roughly 200 to 300 people in one single day. So imagine a room full of 50 high-level managers, directors giving free feedback on a Saturday morning and afternoon. That's really amazing. Then, during the project, we also had workshops for the young participants. So here you can see that the guys are receiving a workshop on the CV, on how to improve their CV, and also on the interview process. So we had more HR directors, coaches, and personal trainers, personal development trainers come in and give the young people these types of workshop. In fact, this is Celine de Ruyter, who is a great friend of mine and also volunteered to give one of these workshops. And if you look at her stomach, in fact, she's close to delivery. I think she was about 8 months pregnant at the time. And she was so passionate about what we're doing that she came in and delivered this workshop. Gladly, she didn't deliver anything else, being so late, being at that point in her pregnancy. But it just comes to show the passion and really the value of what we were doing in terms of the project. And then the final stage, the final component of the project was micro-mentorship. We're giving micro-mentorship to the young unemployed participants via junior level professionals, junior level ambassadors that we called them, who came and who gave the right advice, insights, and best practices to the young unemployed participants. Because the junior level professional with 1 to 3 years of experience is where that young person without a job wants to be. And the junior level professional has all of the hot, fresh information on how to get that job, or what's relevant, or what internships exist, etc., to be able to share that with the unemployed youth. And so we created this platform of micro-mentorship also during the event. Currently, at this moment, to give you some stats for you to understand the project, we've helped about 1,000 participants. We've had over 20 workshop leaders and professional coaches come to support the project. We've been able to mobilize an army of 250 volunteers over the course of 2 years, if not more, 100 HR high-level professionals, 5 CEOs and executive leaders. We had a supportive message from the Prime Minister of Belgium, Mr. Elio Di Rupo, 2 ambassadors, one from the UK and the other from Canada, come and support the project through a speaking engagement, and also an MEP, so a member of European Parliament, who championed our project among his peers in the European Parliament and even hosted us on one day at the European Parliament for a leadership summit, which I will speak of a bit just shortly in a bit of time. And so through this project, now that you know what it is, the IPMA, my IPMA Young Project Manager of the Year winning project, through this process of volunteering and project management, I made a discovery that I'd like to share with you. It's that volunteer work with project management skills and with project management methodology, because I've always been doing volunteer work, but only in these last couple of years when I've also started learning about the real project management methodologies, about project planning, about scheduling, about estimation, about using different templates to be able to plan and execute projects. I've realized that these projects, in fact, have become more and more successful, more and more impactful, and that's what any volunteer wants. And so when we realized that this project, the Your Future in Brussels project, was becoming really a model for combining good project management techniques and a cause that we really deeply cared about, which was tackling youth unemployment, we saw that it was something that was making a lot of impact, and that we really had to share it with more and more people. We saw that we really didn't have the ability to keep this for ourselves and be able to monopolize it. No, on the contrary, we wanted to share it, in fact, with as many people as possible. So that's what we thought about, and we really wanted to demonstrate the fact that sharing this project will also serve as an example and also make life easier for other young people wanting to tackle youth unemployment in their cities. Because we really live for something bigger than ourselves. We live for this cause to help our community, but also to do it as effectively as possible, combining project management and project management principles to this initiative. And so on that note, last year in 2013, we created a leadership summit, which was hosted at the European Parliament, whereby we invited 80 young leaders, social activists, community organizers, student leaders from all across Europe to come to our leadership summit, learn about, where we organized trainings, we organized leadership development sessions, so that they could learn about all of these concepts: leadership, organizational development, stakeholder engagement, partnership, but above all, the concept that we've been able to implement, and also the project management tools and techniques that will help them to be successful in their own local communities when they go back and they're able to implement this project in their local communities. Just to let you know, during this leadership summit, we had the IPMA Young Crew give a wonderful presentation on teamwork. We also had a great presentation from PMI, so from one of the executives here in Belgium. So both project management organizations were present and were sharing best practices, such as the project management canvas and different tools that may be really important. So combining volunteer work, cause-based initiatives tackling youth unemployment, and also project management best practices. And so when those guys went back to their countries, we began a new sort of phase of the project, a higher level campaign whereby we are coordinating with these young volunteer project managers, a network trying to implement the same solution for tackling youth unemployment in their own local communities. And now this is where the project gets very interesting. So like we did here in Brussels, these guys are going to be imitating and implementing the same concept that is based on inspiration, practical advice, and mentorship to help the young people in their local communities. But now there's a new level to this project, in that we, the Brussels headquarters, facilitating and sharing all of our best practices and knowledge with them, we need to organize a campaign, a coordinated effort, so that we can work together. And virtual collaboration is really important. And this is a very challenging task. You guys understand it very well, because right now you GeCCo guys are organizing and working together on these cases in different countries across Europe and the world in order to come first and to make the best case possible. Well, we're doing something very similar, but with other young people, young leaders, to help implement and find solutions for youth unemployment. Seems challenging, doesn't it? But because of what I've seen over the last 10, 15 years, and because of my own personal experiences, I believe very deeply that it can be done. In fact, what we've seen recently with social media, with Facebook, with all of the technologies like smartphones and the internet, we've realized that technology has become a huge enabler in creating change. Whatever that change may be, whether it be creating a business, a new startup, an organization, or collaborating as you guys are in GeCCo, and as we intend to do through our project. We can see that technology has been a driver in all facets. In the political, we saw the Arab Spring yield a wave of democratic reforms, bringing down dictators like Mubarak, when students took to the streets, used technology and social media to organize and show in a huge mass of democratic speech and activism that it's time for change. We're now seeing a revolution in the university experience. Young people can now take free courses online through Coursera or MIT OpenCourseWare. And in fact, I was reading just recently that one woman was able to do an MBA from Rwanda for just under $1,000 using all of these different online courses and certification programs. Technology is enabling us to do great things and for society to progress. We saw in 2008 and throughout Barack Obama's presidency how he's been able to leverage social media for his advantage, to be able to create grassroots movements like Organizing for America, to create discussions, communities, fundraising events, and just a new level of public, public dialogue amongst Americans. On another level, we've seen projects being funded through crowdfunding technologies, platforms like Kickstarter. So if you never had money before to fund a creative project, an idea that you may have, now the world has changed and technology has made that a lot easier. So if you have a great idea, you don't need to be rich. You can put that idea on a platform like Kickstarter and try to gain sponsorship. And as you can see here, there's been over 80,000 projects launched on Kickstarter. The world is changing faster than we know it. You can see here is just a diagram of social media, of the different the different companies that have popped up, have challenged traditional business models, and have created new ways of communication for us and new ways to collaborate virtually through blogs, through Skype, through all of these different platforms. Facebook, if you can believe it or not, Facebook is in fact ranked the third most populated space. It's a virtual space, of course, but it's just trailing behind India and China, larger than the US. And now you can see that's what we have as young organizers, as young project managers. We have this great potential, and it really allows me to be very hopeful in what we can achieve, given these new technological, how would I say it, feats of these great technological feats and innovations. And just to be put things into perspective and be a bit funny as well, the people that were organizing events, volunteers like me 20 years ago, didn't have Facebook, didn't have all of this social media, and they were doing it the old-fashioned way. You know, then they had notepads, and technology changed the way notepads look. So from writing notes to being connected everywhere you go. Before, the organizers, when they had to promote an event, they put a poster up on the walls and on the telephone poles. Then technology came along, and organizing an event, in fact, became a lot simpler. Now you guys know how to create an event with the click of a mouse on Facebook. Invite all your friends, find a spot, go there, and the event is practically made. And all of the technology we have to create marketing materials around that event online is simpler than it ever has been. Of course, telephones, before the guys had to do it the old-fashioned way. Now, what we're doing right now is becoming the norm. A live streaming presentation, teleconferences that we have at work with different time zones. This allows us to save money also, save costs, and be able to have discussions on just a greater level with different stakeholders, making the best projects you can imagine. And so, just to finalize my conclusion and my PowerPoint presentation, I'd like to mention that we are, with my organization, like all of you, at a crossroads in history. We are looking at two options. Either we move forward and we take action and we continue using technology and harnessing it to make new ideas happen, to create more change than we could have ever done before. Because if we look back to what our parents had and the technologies that they were using, to us it seems obsolete. So for us it's easier than it has ever been, and probably for our kids and our great-grandkids it's going to be even easier for them. But we're living right now, so we need to move forward and really at that crossroads continue driving change, harnessing these new technologies, and like we're doing right now, collaborating virtually, because it's just so easy. From my personal experience, in fact, I've been able to create a conference that is now international, that used and leveraged these virtual collaboration tools, and we did it again with zero budget, because all of these tools are free. The majority of them are. Now we're driving this project to help make more impact and to try to tackle youth unemployment across Europe, roll this project out. And virtual collaboration is going to be another challenge for us, but because of what I mentioned before, because of the ease of doing it now, because of its ability to reduce our costs and to create ideas into reality, we're going to continue doing it. So my conclusion to all of you is we have it easy. If we look to our parents, we really are standing at a point of great potential. Believe in yourself, in that you can do anything. You can start your business. You have a project, you can fund it through Kickstarter. You can do an international competition like this without even the keynote speakers like myself leave their kitchen to be able to give a PowerPoint presentation. So together we can make big difference by collaborating virtually. We can not only do it at a local level, but we can do it globally. So now we can think global, act local, and even act even more globally because of the way technology has advanced. And so make a difference, and I'll leave you with that. So thank you very much for listening to my presentation. I hope you took something away that can benefit you throughout your competition, and I wish you all the best, and may the best GeCCo guy or girl win. Thank you very much.